Aloha everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another week of live Q&A here on Trauma Recovery University. I'm your host, Athena Moberg. This is a weekly live discussion for adult survivors of complex trauma. We have a huge global community of adult survivors of all types of childhood abuse, childhood sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, verbal, spiritual, ritual, you name it, and this community is growing and growing by leaps and bounds. We've been around for over a couple years now, almost 3 years. And I just want to personally welcome you and let you know that tonight's discussion will be on the topic of what survivors know. And if you want to participate in tonight's discussion, what you're going to do is you're going to use the hashtag what survivors know. This is based on and inspired by Rachel in the OC, who is the founder of Sex Abuse Chat, and Sue Crombie, who is the founder of CSAQT, which stands for Child Sexual Abuse Question Time. Sex Abuse Chat was founded in January of 2014, and CSAQT was founded shortly after. CSAQT is basically was founded for the UK, as it is in a UK time zone. It's 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and that's every single Monday. And Sex Abuse Chat is every single Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You are here on Trauma Recovery University's YouTube channel, where we have a weekly discussion for the trauma survivor community as well, adult survivors of complex trauma, and we use the hashtag no more shame. So tonight, this is a lot of hashtags for you to remember, so just disregard if this is your first time here. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. But tonight we are only going to be using the hashtag what survivors know, and to participate you're going to be sharing helpful or supportive things that you know that you would like to pass on to other survivors who may just be beginning their healing journey, or that you would just like to pass on to others in the survivor community. What you have learned along the way. If you have learned that it is best for you to speak up and use your voice, then please share. You know, I found that I know now that using my voice is something that I enjoy. Or if you spent most of your life in silence or being ostracized by family, and what you know is creating a family that you choose that is safe is something that works for you, then share that. If you have learned that people just don't understand abuse survivors and it's really, really frustrating and it's best to handle it this way or whatever, then share those things. What have you learned? What do you know about being a survivor? If you are here and you are a survivor, you're welcome. If you're not a survivor, you're welcome here. The only thing we ask is that you are respectful of everyone that is here in our community. People show up here every single week not to be bullied by you or anyone else. They show up here every single week to be supported and to be encouraged. And this is an encouraging, supportive environment. And if you're not here to be encouraging or supportive, then you're not welcome here. So that's who this is for and who this isn't for. Welcome. Again, my name is Athena Moberg. I'm an adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse, childhood narcissistic abuse. I'm an adult survivor of domestic violence during childhood and adulthood. I also incurred all different types of abuse, and I am on my healing journey just like you and just like everyone else who is here. So welcome, and I would like to give a very special thank you to our community members that show up here every single week, and they tweet out the crisis hotline information. They tweet out and share through Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all other social platforms, including Tumblr, all information for you survivors who are looking to be supported. So Kalisha, thank you. You can find follow us over there. She usually does a lot of really awesome screenshots and memes just for you, the survivor who is looking for support. Instagram and follow a hashtag, or just search for survivor community, and you will be pleasantly surprised by the encouraging information that you see on that Instagram profile. I would also like to thank everyone who shows up in the comments every single week after the video has already posted, and who leaves welcoming comments for people that find our videos on some day that they need to find a video. And your comments are there down below just to welcome them into our community. I can't tell you how much it means to me to see that. So I would also like to especially thank Matt and Dawn, who show up every week, and they support all of you guys, and they copy and paste all of your questions and comments and support so that I can share it with anyone who is here to watch this video on a replay or is here to watch live and participate. So welcome to all of you who are new, and a special thank you to every single one of our community members, even the ones I didn't mention. Also Poppy at Poppy's Mission, she makes awesome memes. Just a really special thank you to every single one of you guys that show up every week, and you make this weekly event possible. So thank you. And if this is your first time here and it's all very overwhelming because everybody's so welcoming and awesome and sweet, and you're like, what are all these nice people and what do they want from me? Then just sit back and relax and enjoy. And if I'm not your cup of tea and you hate me and you hate my voice, no need to tell me. So just cruise on to another YouTube channel and find someone whose voice you like. There are lots of men and women here on YouTube that have amazing YouTube channels with lots of support for you. And I'm not for everyone. So I'm glad that you're here to receive support, but I want you to be able to feel supported and enjoy your time here. So if you're triggered or you just don't like it, no need to put yourself through that, you know, just click onto something and search, you know, search YouTube for a channel that you love. Richard Grannon has a great channel. Lisa Romano has an amazing channel. There are so many amazing YouTube channels that are just for survivors of complex trauma. So you are welcome here. I'm super stoked that you're here, and I'm going to go ahead and begin reading some of your guys' questions and comments for the survivor community. And for all of you who are going to be tweeting me and asking me, I know I told you guys last week, but I'm traveling this week. I am in San Antonio for my daughter-in-law's graduation from a leadership program in the Army. She's a veterinarian, and I was here for her graduation, and it was really wonderful to spend time with her. And I got to see my son and spend time with my daughter-in-law's mom and dad and sister, and we've done a lot of walking and a lot of eating. And I even had several of you guys from the survivor community drive several hours to come meet up with me and go out to eat and spend time, and frozen yogurt and lots of fun food and just conversations. And so I just want to thank you and just tell you again how honored I am that you guys go out of your way all the time to leave me voicemails and text messages and emails, and just go out of your way to just get in touch with other survivors and just be a light. You guys are all just such a light in this community. So thank you. I'm honored, and I'm so blessed to be here. And I'm just going to go ahead and start reading some of your guys' comments and questions and advice that you want to share with other survivors that might be showing up here tonight for the very first time or watching a replay at 3 in the morning when they can't sleep. So thank you especially, like I said, to Matt and Dawn, who are sharing here, and they're moderating, making sure that I get as many of your guys' comments as possible. If anyone watching right now, I already tweeted this out. I tweeted out to all of our No More Shame peeps using the hashtag No More Shame, and I invited them all over to the hashtag What Survivors Know, because we're picking up on a trend that was from Rachel in the OC, Rachel Thompson, and Sue Crombie from the UK from hashtag CSAQT. Tweet out to all of our No More Shame peeps using the hashtag No More Shame, letting them know that we're all on the hashtag What Survivors Know, just so they know what's going on and they can be a part of the conversation. That would be amazing. So no more instructions, just enjoy. I hope tonight's enjoyable for you guys. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Let's see. John Harvey, hey, I'm so excited to see you. John Harvey says, what survivors know is that we survive together and not alone. That is so true, John Harvey. Thanks for sharing. Joey says, what survivors know? I know now that nothing is impossible. If you want it bad enough, go for it. I can guarantee it won't be easy, but never ever give up. You are not alone. Wow, you guys, these are just the first two, and I have like tears in my eyes. You guys, when I first realized that I was a survivor, and I found Rachel Thompson's hashtag sex abuse chat, I thought I was all alone, and I was so at the end of my rope, and that was over 3 years ago, and I just, like, out of nowhere, I was just going to stop everything I was doing with my own like business that I was running at home, and I was just going to devote all of my time and like shift my business into a different direction and take all the years that I had studied trauma and healing and whatever and just like focus it outwards. And it was the best decision I've ever made in my whole life. But it started with that hashtag. It started with finding a hashtag and knowing for the first time that I wasn't alone. And knowing for the first time, like John Harvey said, like we heal together. When we're together, we heal at an exponential rate. And it doesn't take as long when we're together. We are stronger together. And like Joey said, anything is possible. I mean, I was all the business development company. And I had marketing experience, and I was learning how to build websites, and I had done some business coaching and some resume coaching and some life coaching because I was a certified professional coach, and I had gone to school and I got certified and all of that. But I shifted my entire focus on using coaching as a modality, but for people who were healing from like other things and needed help. So I've never regretted it. I've never looked back, and it's super duper exciting to think about like where I am now because I found that hashtag. So like my goal is for like survivors to find this hashtag that we're on tonight and to find out for the first time in their life that they're not alone. And even if, I mean, the emails we received when we very first started this YouTube channel in August of 2014, it's coming up on 3 years now. I mean, you guys, these emails, I mean, I had a woman that was, I believe she was, I always get this mixed up. Was she in her 70s or she was turning 80? She experienced a sense of family for the first time in her entire life. I don't know how many of you are in your 70s or turning 80, but to wait your whole life to feel accepted and that you weren't a freak and that you had a voice and that you were loved unconditionally and that you had a sense of family that was safe and not the unsafe family that had abused you or traumatized you, like that's just, to me, that's just amazing, and it's life-changing, and I'm just so honored to be a part of this community. So it's just unbelievable, you guys. And it all just starts with a hashtag, right? I mean, not everybody's story starts with a hashtag, but a lot of ours did. So let me see here. I'm gonna read some more of your guys's comments. Gosh, you guys have so many. It's amazing. Peace and love. Hi, peace and love. I wonder if I have welcomed you personally before. If I have not, then welcome. What survivors know? I know that I have felt very different most of my life. Unfortunately, even different from other survivors. I wish I felt less alone. Oh, I'm so sorry that you've experienced that. I know what that feels like for sure. And my hope is that you feel that here with our community as time goes on. Nothing happens like overnight, like right away, right? So I'm hoping that at some point you will experience that acceptance and that support that you so deserve. I know what that feels like, or I can imagine what that feels like because I believe I've experienced something similar. I won't say I know how you feel because I don't know if I know exactly how you feel, but I'm so glad you're here, period. I'm just really glad you're here. So thank you for sharing peace and love. Gabby Kitty, welcome back. What survivors know is that finding a good therapist makes all the difference in the world. Yes. And it's very true on the opposite end, you guys. It's a good point, Gabby Kitty. So just on that note of what Gabby Kitty was saying, how it makes a total huge difference when you find a great therapist, the opposite is also true in the negative. And that is, if you have a therapist who's not trauma informed and who basically kind of minimizes what you've gone through and maybe causes you to feel like you're the problem, or that maybe your abuse wasn't as bad as you think it was, or, you know, minimizing language, or they're not affirming or validating, or even especially if you have a therapist that is not trauma informed and has no idea how to deal with trauma or how to titrate your treatment so that you're not like dissociating during your sessions, and just for you to be receiving the support you deserve. So it's a great word of advice, Gabby Kitty, and the same is also true in the negative. So I just really feel like, I really feel led to share this with you guys tonight. I was sharing this with someone today, with a survivor today, and that is, you really deserve to settle on the therapist or the practitioner who is best suited for you. And what I mean by that is, many survivors take the scraps that have been given to them their whole entire life, and they don't ever really get to choose what's best for them. They just sort of take the scraps. They feel lucky to get anything. And I really want there to be a shift, a paradigm shift in this community, where so many of us mental health consumers rise to the occasion and are basically saying, wait a second, are you familiar with this? Are you familiar with this? Is this something that you are willing to discuss with me, these type of treatment options? Are you trauma informed? Do you know what it means to be trauma informed? Are you familiar with childhood trauma? Do you know what complex trauma is? Or if you're in the United States, I know that CPTSD is not in the DSM 5th edition. Are you willing to learn what CPTSD symptoms are? Or are you bent on diagnosing me a certain way, even though my diagnosis that you're trying to give me really like matching up completely, because I have more symptoms of CPTSD than I do what you're trying to diagnose me with, like if that's the case. So I just would love for the mental health consumers and this community specifically to really not settle for the practitioners that were given. Like, I want you guys to receive the best level of care possible, because you're worth it and you deserve it. You deserve to not just receive the scraps. I really want you guys to get the best possible care, because you deserve it. So I hope that's possible, and I hope that's something that we can all do together. Let's see. Catherine Campbell, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Catherine Campbell says, what survivors know is you can't change your family. Yeah, oh my goodness. That is so true, Catherine. Many of us, some survivors come from a relatively positive environment in their family, and they experienced a relatively healthy upbringing, and their abuse happened outside the home, or their complex trauma was facilitated, or they endured their complex trauma outside the home, and then they didn't really know how to mention it or bring a stop to it immediately in the home, or they weren't heard. But for the most part, their family was functional. For another subset of survivors, a lot of those who are here on our YouTube channel, they are adult survivors of complex trauma, childhood abuse specifically, even more specifically, all the different abuse, all the way down to sexual abuse. And there are some ritual abuse and torture survivors, and their abuse was perpetuated by and facilitated by and brought on by their family. Or they tried to bring it up in their family that it was happening and they weren't believed. Or it was a family member who was the perpetrator. It was a family member who was the enabler. It was a family member who turned the other way, ignored it, denied it. And so when Catherine Campbell says, what survivors know is that we can't change our family, that's a really to hit with so many of us here. I know for me personally also, as well as hundreds and even thousands of you guys that have messaged me, your abuse happened in your family of origin. And I just want to apologize to you on behalf of your family, because chances are you'll never receive that that apology from your family of origin. Many of them they're in denial. They choose to blame the survivor. They blame the victim. They blame their circumstances, alcohol, drugs, brother, sister, mother, aunt, uncle, cousin, job, we moved, the dog, whatever. They never will take responsibility for what they've done to us. And so for every single one of you who are living with that reality, I just want you to know that I've been there and you're not alone. And I'm super glad that you've found a validating place like this where you can come and you can meet other people in the YouTube chat section or on Twitter, when you're following a hashtag, or even in our private secret Facebook groups. There's a wait right now to get into groups. When I'm not traveling, I have a better opportunity to be vetting people, and I have several of you who have volunteered to help me vet and welcome people into groups, and I just haven't figured out a way to work with my assistant and to get you all like set up. But if that's you and it was your family, I just want you to know that I know how isolating that can feel and how painful that can be. And I want you to know you're not alone, and that you can choose a new family, a friendly family of choice. You'll see a lot of people over in the YouTube chat box and over on Twitter using the hashtag Framily, F-R-A-M-I-L-Y. We have all chosen, many of us have chosen one another as our friendly family of choice, our family. And you're welcome to join our family as long as you're friendly. Because a prerequisite to get into the friendly family of choice is to be friendly. So if you're not nice and friendly, then you're usually not welcome. But if you're here and you're supportive and you're receiving support, then you know you're welcome in this family. You're welcome to receive support. You're welcome to have a place to vent and to say, is this okay? Did this happen to anybody else? Am I the only one experiencing this? Because, you know, like as Catherine Campbell said, what survivors know is that you can't change your family, but sometimes your family can be a huge source of support. August says, what survivors know is that PTSD is the hardest thing that I had to deal with, but I am not giving up. You, August. You guys, PTSD symptoms and just triggers in general, and dissociation and the stigma attached to all of it, and the difficulty in the healing journey, and the lack of understanding from loved ones or bosses or coworkers or whatever, just the lack of sensitivity, lack of awareness, the ignorance, whatever it might be of just society in general. It is so painful. And it is very isolating. So I hope that this is a place where you can feel welcome, and that your PTSD or your symptoms of PTSD, or even your symptoms, your complex PTSD symptoms, I hope this is a place where you feel like you can just breathe and be accepted for who you are, and that, like August says, it might be the hardest thing that we are dealing with to date, you guys, because it is so hard, but I hope you can resolve to not give up, like August is saying here. When we don't give up and we choose to, you know, some days holding our, get out of bed and function minimally is progress. And I want you to know that there is no shame in that. There are many people in our community. We've made videos on this topic. You know, it's a struggle to get out of bed. It's a struggle to do personal hygiene. It's a struggle to function minimally. Many survivors live with dysthymia or other types of depression, or social anxiety disorder, or just they're living with a myriad of different symptoms. And when you have PTSD that comes into the mix, it's the hardest thing ever. But if we just choose one moment at a time to not give up, it's not easy, but I swear it's worth it. I swear it's worth it. Hunter says, what survivors know is you are worth the good things you deprive yourself of regularly. Reminder. Thank you so much, Hunter. I might have needed to hear that today, Hunter. Thank you for sharing. Oh my goodness. You guys, yes, we are worth the good things we deprive ourselves of regularly. Think about being a survivor and not knowing how to show yourself love and compassion and kindness and patience, and not knowing how to champion yourself, and not knowing how to heal, and not knowing what step to take in your mental health journey, or should you go to therapy, should you go to counseling, what about EMDR, what about all these different things, and I'm experiencing these types of symptoms. Does that mean I have schizophrenia? Does it mean I have PTSD? I never went to war. And it's all very confusing, but you know, you're worth the time, you're worth the kindness, you're worth the love, you're worth the small, simple things like maybe buying yourself a bouquet of flowers or running yourself a bath. You're worth making yourself a cup of tea, or taking your prescribed medication, or making your way to the market to get that favorite item that you have been wanting, but you've been sort of struggling with leaving the house because maybe you live with agoraphobia or some other social anxiety disorder, or maybe you're living with body dysmorphia and you struggle about parts of your body and you don't want to leave the house because someone will see you, and you know, you're worth it. You're worth it. Your mental health is worth it. And I just want you to know that. Thanks for that reminder, Hunter. We do deprive ourselves of things on a regular basis. And, you know, I treated some friends, some community members here in our community today. I treated them to lunch. They drove a really, really, really long way to see me, like 7 hours one way, just to hang out with me and have lunch. And I treated them to a really nice lunch, and they treated me to frozen yogurt. And, you know, we don't normally do those things for ourselves. But we did today, and it felt really, really good. And I just want to encourage you guys to do something kind for yourself tonight or tomorrow, because you're worth it. Like Hunter's saying, we are worth those things that we deprive ourselves of. Paul McCormick, welcome back. Paul says, today was a bad day in terms of flashbacks, but I am still here, and that counts. What survivors know. Yeah. You know what, Paul? You are still here, and that does count. And flashbacks are real, and they're painful, and they are horrific, and they're debilitating. And some days are way worse than others. And I'm really glad that you're still here, Paul, because that does count. And I'm glad that you chose to be here tonight. You could have chosen to be anywhere else. You could have chosen to go curl up somewhere and read a book or put your head under the blankets, and you're choosing to be here. So I appreciate you, and I'm so grateful you showed up to not only receive support, but to support other people. And it just says a huge amount about your character. So I'm grateful for you, Paul. Jack says, what survivors know is my family of origin didn't teach me boundaries and effective communication. I am learning with my family and my family now. That is so awesome, Jack. That is so awesome. You know what? I had dinner with my son and my daughter-in-law tonight because it's the last time I'll see them until I don't know when. and a really deep, serious conversation just about like the work I do with survivors and just deep stuff, like not the weather and not the food, like, you know, deep conversation. And his wife got up to go get us some water. And he said, Mom, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. Just communicating on a real level, like healthy, deep communication. And it's not easy, but like you made me do this when I was growing up. Like there was no choice to not learn how to communicate on a deep level. Like that's just how I grew up. And I know I don't normally thank you for that. And you might never hear me thank you for it again, but I'm glad that that's how it was. And I'm like, wait, can I record that? Now I recorded it because I'm saying it to you guys. But, you know, I'm just saying, you know, on what Jack said about our family of origin not teaching us boundaries and effective communication. You guys, do you know how life-changing it is to understand in our adult lives as survivors what a boundary is and what effective communication is? What boundaries, essentially, what is my junk and what is their junk, and how I can not own their junk by taking it on myself and not try to shove my junk onto other people, but really owning it, like keeping the good in, keeping the bad out, and not taking the bad on, right? And not letting the good seep out. Healthy boundaries, you know, interpersonal boundaries, physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, and then effective communication and being able to communicate not only with our closest loved ones, but with our community, ourselves. You know, when we have negative self-talk and harsh inner critics, one of our community members that met up with me today and they took me out for frozen yogurt. She was sharing with me that they have a friend who, if their friend hears them talking bad about themselves or putting themselves down, she says, hey, wait a second, you're not allowed to talk about my friend that way. And in other words, you're not allowed to have that negative self-talk. Don't talk about my friend that way. And it's like, if you wouldn't talk that way to another person who's a friend, don't talk that way to yourselves. And that's part of effective communication, right? And I just think it's so wonderful that Jack and his entire family are here with us, with our family, and they're all learning effective communication and what boundaries are and what safe people are and how to heal, and they're navigating that together. And, you know, that's a really, I think that can be a very healthy thing. And I'm grateful. So thank you for sharing that, Jack. Carrie Belknap says, what survivors know is all the survivors I know are incredibly strong and resilient. And I would have to agree, Carrie. You know, some of the survivors in this community are the strongest people I've ever met in my life. Just, you're so resilient. Your bounce back is so insane. Just how much you've grown and how strong you are and how much you've been through, but here you are and you want to learn and you want to heal and you want to fight and you want to advocate for others and you want to support everyone, and you just keep coming back week after week after week. 3 years later, here you are. It's just amazing to me. So I couldn't agree more, Carrie. Most definitely. That's a great one. Trina says, what survivors know is our intuition is always right. Yes. Oh my gosh. We talked about that tonight at dinner, my son and my daughter-in-law and I. Actually, isn't it funny how a lot of the conversations we're having here, like I'm having like with the only family members I really keep in touch with. You know, we did a video, Bobby and I recorded a video like 2 or 3 years ago on healing our intuition. Because when you're a survivor, if there was narcissistic abuse in play on any part of your grooming, there's gaslighting that goes on. And when you're gaslit by a malignant narcissist or someone who's sociopathic or Machiavellian or sadistic, then you doubt your own sanity on a regular basis, and you doubt your view of reality. You don't know how to trust your intuition, because intuitively you know that something is going on and it's not good. And so you bring it to the abuser's attention or the enabler's attention, and they tell you everything's fine. What are you talking about? Just be quiet. You should just be grateful. And so over time, the intuition that tells you that something's not right, you bring it to their attention. Excuse me. 1 second. I'm going to get a drink of water. So your intuition tells you something's not right. I'm being abused here. This isn't good. And so you bring it to the abuser's attention, or the enabler's attention, or someone else, right? And they tell you over and over and over again over a long period of time, no, everything's fine. You should just be grateful. Or no, you're just looking at it wrong. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Maybe you're the problem. You know, there's all these different things. And so you begin to doubt your intuition. You don't trust it. And so we lose touch with that, right? And so Bobby Parrish and I recorded a video. Harriet, if you could pop up a YouTube link to the video, Healing Our Intuition Through Congruence. There's a really great way for you guys to like maybe discuss amongst yourselves or learn about, excuse me, I feel like I have like a really scratchy throat and like I'm gonna cough again any second, sorry. Healing our intuition through congruence, what that means is, congruence is when what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what you're speaking and what you're doing are all in alignment and they all match one another. So if you're saying, and it's also a boundary, right? It's also a boundary, because a boundary is when your external yes matches an internal yes, or your external no matches an internal no. So if you're thinking inside, like someone invites you to, like your abuser or their enablers or someone invites you to a function, and inside you're like, I really don't want to go to that, but you say yes out of people pleasing, out of compliance, or a desire to please, or to not make waves, not upset the apple cart, to be in someone's favor, have them look upon you favorably. So that's not a healthy boundary, and that's not congruent, because you're thinking, no, I don't want to go. You're feeling, no, I don't want to go, but you're saying, yes, I will go, and then you're going and you're doing, yes, I will go. So that is not congruent. You're not in congruence with yourself. So the video that Harriet hopefully popped the link up on the replay, which you will not see now if you're here live and you're new and this is your first time here. In the next 24 hours, it will be linked up down below at the very bottom of the video description, and there will be a link up on the screen. And it's a video, excuse me, that Bobby Parrish and I recorded, Healing Our Intuition Through Congruence, and it will help you understand what it is that we're talking about. You can also go to our one of our websites, nomoreshameproject.com, and you can click on a tab that says downloadables, or you can also go to athenamoberg.com, which is my website, and you can just click on free downloadables. The one that says Healing Your Intuition Through Congruence, and it's a printable, it's a downloadable free one page. You can print it out and it will help you understand what it is that we're talking about. But that's a really big deal, and it really comes into play. And you know, I'm glad that Trina mentioned that as a survivor, we need to know to trust our intuition, because it is always right. And when we're out of touch with our intuition, because over time we learned not to trust it because we were gaslit, or we were groomed, or we were denied, or we were minimized, or just further traumatized through our abusers or through enablers or what have you, losing touch with that intuition, and not remaining congruent with ourselves, not establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries within ourselves and with other people, that's going to perpetuate the abuse cycle. And we always want to stop that abuse cycle. We want to break the abuse cycle. We want it to end with us. We don't want our children and our grandbabies or anyone after us to ever know what it was like to go through what we went through. And in order to do that, we need to establish and maintain healthy interpersonal boundaries, healthy boundaries with others, and really trust our intuition and heal our intuition through congruence. So I'm so happy you mentioned that, Trina. I wouldn't have even thought to mention that tonight, and I'm super glad you did. Lizzie over on Twitter says, what survivors know is how to help others and how to feel. This community of survivors is among one of the most supportive and amazing communities I've ever had the privilege of being a part of. And everyone here does an amazing job of supporting one another, an amazing job of championing one another and pointing one another in the right direction if we become sort of lost, or we're like, does this sound right? And this is what my so-and-so, Aunt so-and-so said, that this is, I'm a horrible daughter because I'm not contacting my father. But my father is one who sexually molested me from the age 5 until 11. And then I tried to say something and then no one believed me. And I don't feel comfortable contacting my father. And I don't feel like I'm a horrible daughter. I feel like I'm just trying to heal. And is this right? And then like all of the rest of the survivors are like, no, that's not right. Like, you need to take care of yourself, and you shouldn't be guilted into paying attention to your father and calling him. And you're not a horrible daughter for not wanting to reach out to your abuser and all of your enablers. Like, you need to, for once in your life, you take care of your own mental and emotional well-being. And all the survivors in this community are so excellent at supporting one another and championing one another and high-fiving one another and pointing them in the right direction if they just happen to lose their way for a moment. So you are in really good hands and a really good place if you're here for the first time. So thank you. I agree with you, Lizzie. That's amazing. Poppy. Hey, Poppy. I'm sending you so much love and support. Poppy from Poppy's Mission on Twitter says, what survivors know is seeking validation for our truth from others is a dangerous game. Yes. Now, I will say that it is a dangerous game. I will say that it's a dangerous game to seek validation from others for our truth. But I will say that if you struggle with knowing the truth and knowing if what you've gone through is valid or not, that you need to discern, which comes from your intuition, discernment, intuition, who is safe. And if it's a safe person and you're asking them like if they can validate where you're coming from, or is this sound right? Or, you know, I'm feeling this way. Does that seem valid to you? And this is what's going on with me. I don't think that's dangerous. I think that the dangerous part is discerning and being able to have intuition in knowing who's a safe person. So discerning who is safe and who is not safe is a dangerous game. But if you know that you're surrounded by safe people, then I think that seeking validation and help knowing what the truth is and how to stand for it, I would say that that's a good thing to do. But if I'm not mistaken, Poppy is sharing from a personal perspective on there's, you know, she's stood up and spoken her truth and was seeking some validation for her truth, and she's being punished for it. And I know that that's happened to me as well, and that is a scary sort of wobbly road to walk. So really, whatever we can do to support one another, if you consider yourself to be a safe person and you know someone is struggling with being ostracized or being invalidated or being persecuted because they have spoken their truth, do your best to support them and send them love and support, just knowing that you are a safe place where they can vent or ask a question or share their truth. Or maybe sometimes people just need to know that this too shall pass, or that you're a safe place if they need to vent. That's hugely effective and valuable in this community. So Poppy, I have the privilege of knowing a little bit more about your situation, which I will not divulge here, but I just want you to know that myself and so many of us here are a safe place, and we love being a source of support for you. And it is a dangerous thing to seek validation and support from others. It's a wobbly road to walk. It can be very dangerous, but I'm here for you, girl, okay? Excuse me while I get a drink of water, you guys. Okay, so let's see. Angela says, what survivors know is we need to reach out for help and support. Yes, that's perfect. Yes, I totally agree with you, Angela. And again, like on that note of what Poppy was saying, it can be dangerous to reach out for help and support. It can be a wobbly road to walk. It can be really scary. But I'm so happy that you guys have found this place. This is a place of love and affirmation and encouragement and support, and it's a safe place. At least I do my best to make sure it's a safe place. But I can't control the internet. But yes, I agree with you, Angela. We need to reach out and reach out for help and support. And Austin, I'm so happy to see you. Anne says, what is it about society that people want to bury their heads when it comes to the long-term effects of childhood abuse? Some peeps try to play abuse down, and it makes me so angry. Yes. You know what? I was having this discussion with my daughter-in-law. I know you're shocked. It's honestly, there's just a stigma attached to a lot of things that are mental health related, and it is maddening. It's like, seriously, come on. This is the year 2017, you know, and it is true. So many people want to bury their heads in the sand, or what my daughter-in-law and I were talking about is so many people slap a smile on their face and pretend everything's fine when deep down it's not. And all that does is cause other people that are really struggling to believe that they're the only ones and they're all alone. So if you're struggling and you find that you've found a safe person and you can discern that there's a safe person that you can confide in, the more we use our voice and the more we share, then the more people we can help, and then they won't feel so alone. But I want to say this. I agree with Anne so much. I agree with Anne that it is maddening, right? It's maddening that so many people, they just want to bury their heads in the sand. But I want to say this, and that is, you are the only one who decides when and if you speak up. So what I mean by that is that it's nobody else's business and it's nobody else's choice when you speak up and speak your truth. It's not up to me. It's not up to your therapist. It's not up to your mom or your dad or your brother or sister or your cousin or your husband or your wife, your partner. It's nobody's choice but yours. You are the one that gets to decide when you speak up and when you share your truth. Sharing out loud and publicly is not for everyone. Okay? Not everyone feels comfortable sharing their abuse story and sharing their truth in a public forum like Twitter or YouTube. Now, I wasn't comfortable with it at first either. I was terrified, totally terrified. And finally, I don't even know at what moment it was, I was like, you know what? I didn't abuse myself. I think it was Rachel Thompson. She's like, we didn't sexually abuse ourselves. Like, why are we carrying the shame? Really? And so I don't know what it was, but something just like occurred to me, and I was all of a sudden okay. And I decided to, you know, write essays for anthologies and get them published on websites and write for the Good Men Project and submit to Huffington Post and submit to all these different books and talk to all these people and go on all these different podcasts and tell my story and start a YouTube channel. And that is not for everyone. It is definitely not for everyone. And I want you to know that it's only up to you. You're the only one that can choose when and if you share your truth. So I agree with Anne that it is maddening that people want to stuff their head in the sand and not acknowledge the devastating, debilitating after effects of childhood abuse years and decades later. But it's just honestly, Anne, it's just a point in time. It's a period of time that we're in. It's a point in time. And it is just a matter of time before people will not be able to refute the devastating after effects of complex trauma. So I believe that it is just a point in time. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that I'm like predicting, but I guess I could be, you know, it's just a point in time, but it is maddening. Willow B says, what survivors know is one of the hardest things to cope with is the isolating effects of childhood sexual abuse. To thrive, we must reach out. Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely yes. Where did it go? Where did your comment go? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, I lost it. Oh, there it is, there it is. Yeah, the isolating effects of childhood sexual abuse. To thrive, we must reach out. I believe Bobby has a quote from, is it Michelle Rosenthal or is it Babette Rothschild? Who said that quote that abuse is a relational trauma, and so in order for us to heal, we heal in relationships. I'm trying to think of who that was that said that now. Was it Peter Levine? I have a feeling it was a woman. But yes, such a perfect quote, Willow. I love it. April says, what survivors know is there will be awful days and beautiful moments in healing. Yes. Sometimes those awful days all come at once. Sometimes those awful days are so like just completely debilitating and like you don't even know you're going to make it. Honestly, it's like you are not even sure you're going to make it. But there are beautiful moments of healing, and there are beautiful moments when, you know, we realize that we really are healing. We really are healing. And just when we're about ready to give up, or, you know, it's like we're not even sure that we're on the right path towards healing through. And we get to this mountaintop experience and we look back at where we came from, this deep, dark valley. And it's just a beautiful moment of, oh my goodness, I've made it this far. And if I've made it this far, I can make it farther. And I'm not going to give up. So if that's you, then please know you're not alone. And there are beautiful moments in healing to balance out those awful days that sometimes all come at once and they hit you upside the head. Angela says, what survivors know is that monsters are real. Yes. I know what evil looks like. I've seen her in person. I know what evil looks like. I've seen him in person. I've been face to face with both him and her. And they're real. Yeah. If you guys have seen evil in the flesh and you've survived the trauma of abuse, I want you to know you're not alone and that there is hope and there is healing, especially within community like the one you're in tonight. April says, what survivors know is that the abuse was not our fault. Yes, we may not know that right away in the beginning, but we learn that over time. And I know that now. I didn't know that before. In fact, I still struggle with that sometimes. I still think that certain devastating after effects that I'm living with now that are debilitating, I sometimes own those as though they're my fault. And I have to catch myself, or someone else catches me and they're like, hey, I hear you shaming yourself about that. Isn't that something that's connected to this or this? And I have to sort of go, oh, yeah, thanks. I might have needed you to call me out on that. Yeah, the abuse was not our fault. Well said, April. Lynn says, what survivors know is that healing is ongoing with ups and downs. And it's okay if it's okay. We aren't failing. Healing. Well said, Lynn. Very well said. Young at Heart says, what survivors know is we are not small and we have a voice. Yes. April says, what survivors know is educating one another on how we cope is part of freeing ourselves. Yes, I agree. Definitely. Angela says, what survivors know is healing is really hard work. Yes, it is. Dominique, oh, I'm so happy to see you, Dominique. I missed you. Dominique says, what survivors know is the pain and the memories never completely go away, but you'd be surprised at how much you can grow around. Listen, I don't think about anything, but I have grown through it. And I'm so much stronger now than I was before. Very well said, Dominique. Young at Heart says, what survivors know is that we are enough. Big letters. Yes. Perfectly said, Young at Heart. Willow says, what survivors know is when the basis for forming romantic attachments was twisted through child abuse, our adult relationships will carry the burden. Yes. So if you are new here and you are struggling with some of your adult interpersonal relationships and you were abused as a child, or you are living with complex trauma symptoms because you there's maltreatment in your childhood, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, ritual, religious, financial, whatever type of abuse during childhood, and you didn't know or you hadn't connected yet that your interpersonal relationships now in adulthood that could be possibly struggling or maybe limping along, or there's a lot of conflict there. It is very common for survivors of complex trauma to experience interpersonal relational trauma in adulthood due to the fact that we were surviving when we were children, not thriving and living and learning how to develop. During our developmental years, if we were just barely surviving because of abuse, then we weren't learning things like, you know, how to have a daily life as a child and balance normal everyday activities and eating healthy and brushing our teeth and, you know, normal daily hygiene, or what to wear, or daily chores, or, you know, how to have an allowance or put money aside for savings, or, you know, things that children learn during their developmental years. If your abuse happened when you were much younger, possibility that will linger into your adult relationships, and that you will hobble along or struggle in some of your adult relationships because of the fact that you were struggling when you were much, much younger, rather than having your full-time job as a child learn how to be a child so that you can grow up into a healthy adult. So that took me decades to embrace, because I would shame myself for not being able to multitask and not be able to balance my checkbook and have savings and manage my credit report and pay everything on time and do all this and manage the dishes and the laundry and raising a child on my own, and when do people go on vacation and what is that all about, and I'm barely making it, and how do I, like, I mean, I was not able to adult. And now I'm adulting all over the place. Like, I'm like adulting. But it took me decades to understand why I was struggling. And I'm like, wait a second. Oh, and it was pointed out to me probably towards the middle of my recovery journey. Like, well, when you were younger and other people are normally learning like child things, you were being an adult. You were the designated adult for your family. You were in charge of everything, or no one was emotionally available for you to teach you these things. So anyway, I hope you all will let yourself off the hook and not shame yourself for that. Because adult relationships are sticky when you struggled during childhood. That was really, really important to bring up, Willow. So I want to thank you for that. Paul says, what survivors know is the denial of the abuse is as painful as the abuse itself. It takes a long time for trust to be regained. Yes. You guys, when our abuse is denied or minimized, the pain of that, the re-traumatization of that, it can be more devastating than the abuse itself, which we have very little memory of, depending on how old we were. So, Harriet, if you could pop up the video, when your abuser denies your abuse, or when your abuser and your family deny your abuse, however it's worded. You can also go to athenamoberg.com and you can click on free downloadables, and there's a downloadable printable that will talk all about like when your abuse is denied by your abuser or your family or your loved ones. And Harriet, if you could pop that link up and then like link it up down below as well, that would be so amazing. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Paul. That is an entire section of my healing journey in and of itself. The betrayal and the pain and the re-traumatization of having my abuse denied by everyone that I thought was on my side or loved me or had my back. It was the most devastating. It was more traumatizing than my abuse. And my abuse was significant. Like it just made my left eye start twitching when I said it was significant. Like it was really, like, I didn't realize how intense and significant my abuse was until my adult years. And now I'm like, wow, how did I survive? But the denial of it and the minimization of it and the re-traumatization of all of that, oh my gosh. So please be kind to yourself, Paul, because man, that it takes a really long time to trust again. Dominique says, I don't have to talk to my abuser. What survivors know is I don't have to talk to my abuser, and I don't have to pretend that nothing happened, and nobody can make me. So there. I can already picture the voice she used to say that. And yes, yes, yes. Like we were saying earlier, you guys, no one gets to tell you how to heal, who to tell, when to tell, what to do, only you. So you're in charge of your survivor journey. You're in charge of your healing journey. And yes, well said. Joey says, what survivors know is set boundaries with everyone, because if you don't, you will most likely get hurt and you will not move forward in your recovery. Hashtag work in progress. Yes, yes, yes. Well said, Joey. Again, boundaries for the win. Boundaries for the win, you guys. Boundaries are so important. They are like the key. I mean, they were life-changing for me. My entire life changed when I learned what a boundary was. I was like, why wasn't I taught this stuff in school? Like, this is foundational, fundamental. Like 2 + 2 is 4, and this is what a boundary is what it really should have been, and it wasn't. So yes, way to go, Joey. Boundaries for the win. April says, what survivors know is learning new self-talk is essential to self-care and self-love. Yes. And this is especially true for you adult survivors of childhood abuse, where your abuse happened within your family unit, your family of origin. Chances are that there is a tape playing in your head on repeat, and it has somehow tricked you into believing that it's your voice. But it's kind of not your voice. It's somebody else's voice that's been inserted into your brain, and then your voice sort of superimposes over that voice. And it turns into this like mishmash of a harsh inner critic / negative self-talk like mashup on repeat. And not the good kind of mashup, because I know some of those, like the dub smash and all those, like the apps, and like those are fun, but this is bad. Like, you don't want a harsh inner critic with somebody else's voice doing a mashup with like your voice and thinking that it's negative self-talk, and then you just like hate yourself. And it's really difficult to care for yourself and be patient and kind and love yourself in any way or do good things for yourself when those are the voices you hear. So learning new self-talk is essential to self-care and self-love. As what survivors know is the mental health system is a lot like playing Russian roulette for trauma survivors. And I will say, yes, it is. You know, not all trauma survivors are treated with love and respect and kindness and dignity in the mental health system. So please be wise and mindful of who you tell, what you tell, how you tell it, what you do, and make sure the people are safe people and that they're 100% safe people, because that is so true, Poppy, and I'm so sorry that you're going through all the things you're going through. I hope that this is a safe place for you to receive support, because I'm so happy to see you. John Harvey says, what survivors know is it is better being alone than living with somebody that is unhealthy. Yes. I was talking with my son and my daughter-in-law about that today, and you know, it is healthier for us to be by ourselves sometimes than it is to be with someone who is minimizing or invalidating or unhealthy, or just has stuff of their own that they're not willing to work on or work through, because what ends up happening is we have our own things that we're working on, and then to have someone else in our lives that is, you know, that's struggling in their own journey, and they're just not being supportive, and then we're taking that on almost like as our own junk. And sometimes it's easier for us to be by ourselves. Like, it's healthier for us to be by ourselves at that point. Julie says, what survivors know is if you mention PTSD and someone says you haven't been in a war, they are wrong. And I agree. And I'm like, yes, amen. It drives me crazy when there are PTSD symptoms and I recognize them in others and they're just ignored by a lot of people, or even in myself. And it's minimized or denied because I am not a combat veteran. And I'm like, if you only knew what I survived, you idiot. Oh my goodness. Lizzie says, what survivors know is how valuable healing and becoming a better person really is. Yes, so valuable. Oh my goodness. And only we can heal. Like, no one can heal for us. You guys, don't miss this. Oh, sorry, the ice maker is like super loud in this hotel room. Okay? Because for so long, part of my grooming was to wait for my dad to come rescue me. You know, it was just part of the system. It was just part of the system. When things got bad at my house, right before the phone would get yanked out of the wall, I would call my dad. My dad would drive 30 miles to come pick me up, and he would rescue me. And that was part of the system. It was almost part of like the agreement. Like, I would get out of the house before things got too bad. Like, there was like blood and like, you know, weapons and crazy stuff. And then the phone would get ripped out of the wall, like right after that. And, you know, because that was part of the system, for most of my adult life, I was looking for someone to rescue me the way that my dad always came and rescued me. And I just want you guys to know we are the only ones. We are the only ones that can rescue ourselves. We can't wait around because no one is coming. Okay? No one can heal for us, and no one can rescue us. We have to choose to heal. And I might not ever fully heal. I might not ever fully live this amazing life that I picture myself living, but I am going to try every single day, and I'm going to make progress every single day because I know no one can do it for me. I'm the only one that can heal for me. And that's a really hard, bitter pill to swallow. It is very valuable. Like Lizzie said, it is very valuable in healing. And to become the person that you envision yourself to be is so important, and no one can do it for us. No one can rescue us. No one's coming. And no one can heal for us. And that is a really bitter pill. But I'm just telling you, the more we accept that, the stronger we will be, and the more effective our healing journey will be. Star Child. Hey, Star Child, welcome, welcome, if I've never welcomed you before. Star Child says, what survivors know is we will never be the same since being abused by our family, but we are stronger and wiser, and support has been a true miracle. Yes, well said. Perfectly put, Star Child. Yeah. It really sucks being abused by your family of origin if that's you. It really is so painful. The betrayal attached to that and the grieving process of allowing yourself to let that go, oh my gosh, it is just like you don't think you will survive that. It is so painful. But I promise you, I am stronger and wiser, and the support I've received, not only in this community over the past 3 years, but just in other safe people, it is a true miracle. Well said, Star Child. Paul McCormick, you're still here. I'm so happy. Paul McCormick says, what survivors know is some days just getting up is the biggest accomplishment. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hashtag baby steps. Yes. High five. I agree with you, Paul. Most definitely. Some days that's a win for me, like my only win. Young at Heart says, what survivors know is we have to love ourselves. Yeah, we do. Sometimes it's hard to know how. Like, learning how to love ourselves is like a complete foreign language. Like, if someone told you to go speak Mandarin to the person at Starbucks and you didn't already know how to speak Mandarin, you would fumble. You'd be like, ni hao ma, wu hao shi shi. And my son's a Mandarin linguist. So I just said, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. But if you didn't know what ni hao ma, wu hao shi shi, if you didn't know that that meant, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. You'd be like, what's Athena? What's she smoking? What's going on with her? You know, so the same thing is regarding love. Like, how do you speak love or show love to someone if you don't know what that is? So learning to love ourselves and to speak that love is completely foreign, just as foreign as Mandarin. Maybe even more difficult, because at least Mandarin, even though there are 8 tones and 50,000 characters and no alphabet, at least like you can be in a full immersion environment and you can like become fluent. In order to become fluent in how to love ourselves, we have to immersion, and to be in full immersion means that you have to be dedicated 24/7, 365, fully immersed in self-love. And if you don't know how or what that even looks like, that's really hard. It's like reinventing the wheel. And so I encourage you to surround yourself with people like this community so that you're not trying to learn all on your own how to speak Mandarin or how to speak love to yourself. So, because we'll love you. You'll come here in this community and we'll just be like, love, like you'll just be love will be oozing. Like, we're all trying to be such a light in this community, and you'll just be like blinded, like, okay, enough with the love. You guys are all so fake. But we're not. We're being super real. We're just showing the love to you that we wish that someone would show us. So get in, and then you'll go, wow, okay, so that's what that feels like. And then we turn it into ourselves. So that's the goal. So April says, what survivors know is we are warriors as we face each day. Yes, April, I agree 100%. Hey, Creep Central Broadcast, welcome back. Creep Central Broadcast says, what survivors know is there are other humans trying to and succeeding in training us like a Pavlov's dog. Trauma accumulates, re-triggers, and our subconscious needs calm. That is a loaded sentence that I could probably do an entire hour-long YouTube video on, but yes, there are other humans who are trying and succeeding in training us. And they did try and succeed in training us how to hate ourselves and how to not heal. And our subconscious does need calm. So in order for our subconscious to feel calm, we need to create a safe environment for ourselves, which means establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries with ourselves and with others, and discerning who safe people are and only surrounding ourselves with those safe people. Then we can heal, because then our subconscious is calm. So yes, and I think I should record a whole video on that. So thank you, Creep Central Broadcast. April says, what survivors know is no one fix for all of us. True. There's no one size fits all for trauma recovery. Paul says, what survivors know is my therapist told me the loveliest thing. No matter what happened to you, you're still innocent and pure. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. You guys, I struggle with the whole innocent and pure thing so much. Like my husband and I, before we got married, we dated for about a year, and we wanted to like wait and not be sexual with one another until we got married. And I had been like not sexually with somebody for a very, very, very long time, for several years. And I just had wanted to wait. Like, I wanted to know what it was like to like sort of have that like innocence and that purity. And then So we got married and we're on our honeymoon, and then like shortly after our honeymoon, I'm having all these like crazy flashbacks and memories, and it was just like, and I was just struggling. And I didn't realize until shortly after that that I just felt so ashamed, and I was like, my husband deserves so much more. Like, he deserves someone who's pure and innocent and good, because he had waited like decades, you know? And so anyway, I just struggled with the innocent and the pure thing so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you for saying that, Paul, because it's true. Like, I didn't sexually abuse myself. I didn't trade myself out or lend myself out or, you know, give myself away, or, you know, like, those were things that were done to me. So, I am technically still innocent and pure because it wasn't my choice, you know? I think some of us might have needed to hear that. Maybe just me. I don't know, but I hope some of you benefited from that comment. We're coming up on time here, guys, so I'm going to run through these rather quickly so I can get all of them in. And hopefully that's okay with you guys, because a lot of you shared these like 45 minutes ago, and you're maybe still here and maybe you're not. So I hope that you get to hear yours read on the air, because you deserve that. April says, what survivors know is finding the right help is not always an easy task, but we must do it for ourselves. Yes, it's true. Willow says, what survivors know is sometimes things go relatively well for a while. That's off PTSD symptoms, but healing occurs in waves. And that is so true. Very true. Very, very true, April. Willow says, what survivors know is sometimes things go relatively well for, oh no, that was Willow. I'm so sorry. Willow says sometimes things go relatively well for a while before a trigger sets off PTSD symptoms. Healing occurs in waves. Yes. Healing does occur in waves, and healing is cumulative. So if you are in a healing pattern, right, there's healing upon healing upon healing upon healing upon healing, and it happens in like such a cumulative way. Like, each layer of healing strengthens the one beneath it. So sometimes it happens like that. So just embrace those moments when you're feeling like there's exponential healing going on, like when you're in community with others. Shy Sharon, I see you. How is your new place? I'm so excited for you. Shy Sharon says, what survivors know is we know that we are strong, and we are alive, and we made it, and let's live for the future, for our future and our happiness. Yeah, that's very well said, Sharon. The past, so we have to live for the future and our future happiness, and in the present as well. Like, we deserve that. April says, what survivors know is we can stay in our pain or we can fight against it. Dominique, what survivors know is I'm just being honest. Trying to help, in air quotes, is not an excuse for verbal abuse. Insults, incessant criticism is not help. So yes, on this note, you guys, if you have to start a sentence with, well, I didn't want to tell you this because I didn't want you to take it the wrong way, but I'm just trying to help and I'm just being honest, then chances are you don't need to be saying what it is that you're saying to another survivor. Because honestly, anything that is coming out of your mouth should be positive and encouraging, because survivors need to be uplifted and encouraged, unless they have asked you specifically for advice or something like, okay, tell it to me straight. Just be brutally honest with me. I need to know the truth. Then you can respond in that way. But otherwise, please be kind. Please be kind, because survivors deserve kindness. April says, what survivors know is we are worthy. Yes, we are worthy. And what survivors know is helping someone else, I help myself. When I help someone else, I help myself. You know, sometimes the most healing thing I do and the most self-care thing I do for myself all week is showing up here with you guys, because I love being here with you. And I do know that the words that go forth on these videos have an exponential effect. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you to be told the truth about yourself and about your abuse and about your healing journey, and that you deserve it. And so, yeah, in helping someone else, I've helped myself. And I agree with that 100%, April. Guayanes, I feel like I'm butchering your name, and I'm so, so sorry. Welcome, welcome to our community. Guayanes, about a half an hour, 45 minutes ago, said, what survivors know is no matter what our past was, as long as we live, our future can be much, much better and even amazing. Yes, I totally agree. Please, person and at sign, tag them so that they know that I finally read their quote. They're new to our community, I think, and I just want them to know that I'm acknowledging them, and I totally agree with what they said, and it was super helpful. Julie says, what survivors know is no matter how little we believe it, one important truth is it wasn't my fault. Yes. Heather Tupa says, what survivors know is, oh, I'm just reading along tonight. Well, I'm glad you're here reading along tonight and supporting, Heather. I always love to see you here. It just encourages my heart so much. Dominique says, what survivors know is it could take years to realize that abuse actually happened, but it still matters. It always has, and it always will. Willow says, what survivors know is it's amazing how much better a CSA survivor can feel finding support through online peer communities. Yes, Willow, that is so true. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, and anybody using the hashtag No More Shame, I hope everybody can find these particular hashtags from tonight, the What Survivors Know hashtag. And I hope everybody found the hashtag CSA Survivor from a few weeks ago as well, because it is life-changing to find out there's an entire community supporting you. April says, what survivors know is 2 steps forward, 1 step back is still going forward. Yes. I wish someone would have told me that the first like 5 or 6 years, because man, I was just like so struggling. Oh, it was so hard. I've been on this journey now for about 17 years, and the first several years were just like I destroyed and sabotaged every relationship I came in contact with. I did. It's what I did. It was a defense mechanism. It was a coping strategy. I would just cut everybody out of my life, surgically remove them so cleanly and perfectly that they never even knew what hit them. They were just like, well, we broke up. Like, I thought we were fine, or I thought we were friends. And I was just like, I was gone, like hundreds of miles away. Yeah, I wish I would have known that. Oh my goodness. Great words of advice. April says, what survivors know is many of us don't make it. Hashtag suicide awareness. You guys, that is so true. And I think it's really important that we don't shame people that are in the suicide survivor community. A lot of them are labeled as weak. And, you know, so many of us here in the abuse survivor community know what it's like to survive suicide, because it's not that we want to die and we want to hurt people and be selfish. We just want the pain to go away, and we just want to not exist. We just want to be deleted and just not wake up, because it just seems easier, because fighting and living is so, so, so painful and so hard. So I'm personally certified in suicide prevention, and I'm assist trained and certified, and I'm the Prevent Suicide Maui County Task Force in my county where I live. And there's a great chat on Sundays, and I believe it is SPSM, hashtag SPSM, and that's suicide prevention through social media. Or is it SMSP? Social media suicide prevention. Now I forget. I think it's SPSM. I'm almost positive. like 99.9. Anyway, excellent community, amazing, amazing advocates, and just powerful humans in that community. You guys, it's on Sundays. I think it's 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Totally join that, or look up the hashtag because it's amazing. And Harriet, if you could pop up the video that Bobby and I did on suicide, not the one that was on attachment and suicide, but the one that was a regular one on suicide. And if you could link it up down below. So you guys watching this now, you can come back within 24 hours and those videos should be linked up for you below. Or you can just simply search down in our YouTube channel, look for suicide under Trauma Recovery University, or you can go to athenamoberg.com and click on free downloadables, and then you'll get a PDF printable downloadable on all kinds of things on suicide awareness and suicide prevention, and just the common thread of says what survivors know is the fact that I care about not acting like my abuser is the #1 clue that I am not. I truly care, and I own my shit, and she doesn't. Yes, I will agree with you there, Dominique, because a lot of times, almost always, abusers point their fingers in like all the opposite directions. It's about their brother, their sister, their mother, their father, their sister, their aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, dog, horse, job, circumstances, stock market, like the grocery store, like something, the car. It's everybody else's fault. They don't own their shit. They just don't own their shit. It's very, very they just don't. They don't know how. Many abusers don't own it ever. They like to blame. If you wouldn't have been so blank, then I wouldn't have fill in the blank. You should just be grateful. When I was your age, blah, 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 blah. You should be grateful you have a roof over your head, and you'll never know what it feels like to go hungry. And so it like automatically excuses them and gives them a green light to do whatever they want to you. But that's not the truth. I just want you to know that that's not the truth, and that's called minimization, and they're minimizing what they did to you, and it doesn't make what they did right. So, amen, girl. High five, Dominique. Well said. Paul McCormick says what survivors know is love, kindness, strength, and courage. This is all you need. Oh, okay. One more. Cookies. And there's little cookie emojis. I agree, Paul. Everything is better with cookies. And Rachel would agree. And she would say she needed some hashtag Nutella with those cookies for sure. But everything's better with cookies. Young at Heart says, what survivors know is validation is the best feeling. And that is so true. That's why these chats are so powerful. Let me see something super quick. I believe I have just a couple more. Oh, in regards to suicide awareness, delayed fatality, an undeniable truth for childhood sexual abuse survivors who lack support and resources and are overwhelmed. So their abuse really does kill them because they are no longer able to live. And so that's, again, hashtag suicide prevention and suicide awareness. And that's really good to know that if you're struggling and you're a survivor, what survivors know is that suicidal ideation is real and you're not alone. And there is help out there. There is a crisis text line. And I put the information for the crisis text line in the YouTube chat at the beginning of this conversation. And I believe there are memes being texted or being tweeted out and shared in the comments. And if there's a crisis, it's crisistextline.org, and you can text them. 65, they have crisis counselors. So I hope that you guys take advantage of that opportunity because they really are amazing. I vetted them myself. I messaged back and forth with them. I told them who I was and that I ran an organization for abuse survivors. They're like, yeah, share our information. That's great. Please do. So They'll be expecting you. Tell them I said hi. I think the gal I talked to's name was Ruth, or maybe it was Rose. I can't remember now. But I also talked to one of the people that helped found the organization. April says, what survivors know is we can learn so much from each other. Yes. Young at Heart says, what survivors know is we are stronger than people think we are. Yes, we are. Steffi says, Steffi NYC says, what survivors know is one moment lasts minutes for the abuser, but a lifetime for the person they abused. And that is 100% true, you guys. And you're not alone in that. I mean, they think that what they did was just a moment, but we have to live with those consequences forever. April says, what survivors know is that silence kills. And that is true. Dominique says, what survivors know is when my abuser is being nice, it's not a change of heart, it's a hunting tactic. And I want everyone to take note of that, because predators are predators, and that is true. Abusers don't just turn nice. Sorry. They're luring you. As much as you don't want to admit that, because that's a painful thing to admit, that's the truth. And I'm telling you the truth, and so is Dominique. And I think a lot of us can attest to that. April says, what survivors know is narcissistic abuse can destroy a person's sense of self. And I will attest to that, because I literally doubted my own reality. I doubted what was real, what wasn't real. I mean, everything. The whole fabric of my universe came unraveling at the seams, and I was not okay because of narcissistic abuse. And it will kill you if you don't get help. So please get professional help if you believe that you've been abused by someone who's narcissistic. This is the last one, and I am over time, way over time. What's Captain Janeway? Hi, Janie. Oh my goodness, you're awake. It's like 3 or 4 in the morning there. Oh my word, girl. Janie says, what survivors know is we know how to rise from the ashes. Next. Well said, Janie. She says, we make ourselves from those ashes, and we are beautiful. I'm going to end on that note, my friends. Each and every one of you are so beautiful. I know all of you, a lot of you in our safe groups, you see I call you guys beautifuls. And I do believe that all of you are my beautifuls. You guys are amazing. You are inspiring. You're incredible. You're strong. You are brave. Just even being here watching this video, you are courageous. It takes a lot to sit through this long of a video on the topic of how to heal from childhood abuse, childhood trauma, complex trauma, however you want to name it. But you're brave and you're amazing. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I am traveling. I'm flying out. I have to leave this hotel in 8 hours, and I'm exhausted. So I'm gonna go now, and I'm so grateful I got to spend this evening with you guys. It's super late. I'll see you in 1 week. I'll see you next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, using the hashtag No More Shame, and right here on this YouTube channel. Oh, no, it's okay. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Each and every one of you are amazing. And this will be mine. Hashtag what survivors know is that this YouTube channel, this community that we have here at Trauma Recovery University, is the most powerfully healing and supportive community I've ever been a part of in all of my life. And I'm almost 44 years old, and I have women and men here from age 20-something to age 80-something, and in over 180 countries, and countless emails and messages and voicemails and DMs, and just unbelievable. So you have landed in a good spot, and I'm grateful you're here, and I don't take it for granted. So yeah, thank you. Good night to all of you, and I will see you in a week. Bye now.